Hello and welcome to the Burn KC ScorchCast. I am your host, Alex Blackburn. Apologies for, number one, my voice being a little rustier than normal. I was too busy screaming yesterday about actually the topic that we have for today's ScorchCast. The Chiefs advancing to the Super Bowl for the second year in a row. The Chiefs are going back. We will have more on that later, though. Got a pretty loaded ScorchCast. My second apology is for not having a ScorchCast last week. Just things got way too busy, and just didn't have the time to just kind of sit down and do it. Recording this a little later, though, so it'll be up a little later. So hopefully it'll be up by the end of the day, though. So just be mindful. Thank you for your patience. I really do appreciate you guys sticking with me and supporting me. Got a loaded show today. Gonna go over, like I said, the Chiefs' big win in the AFC Championship. Got to talk about some college football, college basketball news. Mostly about Lance Leipold and the Kansas Jayhawks, what they're doing right now as far as contract talks, and just what can we expect about that or surrounding that. And then college basketball is just kind of reviewing stuff, but also have a little bit of Royals news and some just general channel stuff to go over, like the burning question and a certain thing that I wanted to do with this channel. So just sit back, relax, enjoy it. Whether you're watching via the Scorch Clips or you're watching via the just big kahuna itself, the show. So strap in and sit tight. Got a live one. All right, so first things first, we got to talk about the Leipold and Klinman news. If you've been keeping up with the coaching carousel for college football, you realize that these two are on every single list, it seems, regarding any head coaching vacancies. They were on the same list for the Washington job. They were on the list for the Michigan job. They were on the list for the Morningside College job. That one was a joke. But basically, Pete Thamel and company just kind of throw a bunch of names up there and say, oh, these are the potential candidates for this job that, everybody wants, even though that there's literally only one person that the school wants. In Michigan's case, that was Sharon Moore. And in Washington's case, it was, Lance was a finalist for that job. He did interview, but I think they wanted Jed Fish just with the West Coast connections, and what Jed Fish did at Arizona, taking them from the bottom feeders of the Pac-12, rest in peace, to arguably the top team in the Pac-12, because, Oregon and Washington were the top two teams, but I think Arizona could have easily been in the Pac-12 championship as well. But that's a story for another time. Let's talk about Leipold-Klinman. Leipold-Klinman staying and what this means for both programs. Let's start with Kansas State. I think Klinman wants to stay at Kansas State because that is a program that he is maintaining, and that is a program that he genuinely cares about. I respect that because, frankly speaking, he's not chasing a bag. He's not trying to build this program or excuse me, maintain this program because to be honest, it doesn't need building per se. I mean, they've been good. They've been Big 12 contenders since Bill Snyder got there, roughly. And, it's tough to say why Klinman is staying. I guess he just wants to maintain maintain that culture and doesn't feel like he can really get it anywhere else. I think he's definitely a Snyder type of where he feels like that there's a culture that needs to be maintained. There's a um, job that needs doing here, and he's found a home at K State because, frankly speaking, he wasn't offered any extensions. He wasn't offered anything like that. So it isn't a money issue for him, I don't think. And that says a lot about him. Um, as far as Lance Leipold goes, a lot of people are trying to pin Lance is trying to hustle Kansas out of a bigger paycheck with, threatening to go to these different positions. But, um, in the end, he didn't leave and he's committed to KU. And while I agree, yes, he hasn't signed a contract yet, and yes, this whole you know agent pandering to his to these quote unquote more glamorous offers, I think that's a bit curious. Um, but if you want to know my full thoughts on it, go check out what Bryson Stricker said on his Twitter in a video. I think it was yesterday that he said something. Um, but I mean, basically what it comes down to is like Stricker said, you can't have commitment with hypocrisy. And I think what a lot of people want to see from Lance Leipold is him sign a deal and him, fully commit to the Jayhawks without pandering to these other jobs, without, saying, oh, I've interviewed with Washington. Oh, I've, been listed as a potential candidate on Michigan's coaching search. It hurts Leipold more than it hurts the university, I would say, because it kind of just makes him look bad. And to be honest, if he did take another job, I think that would make him look horrible. I think what he's done at Kansas so far is worth him staying first and foremost because, like, he's built this program back from the depths of hell. And I think any Kansas Jayhawk football fan will tell you that. I mean, this program was a dumpster fire for so long. And what Leipold has done in just 3 to 4 years of being head coach of the Kansas Jayhawks is nothing short of spectacular. It's very reminiscent of what Bill Snyder did for the K-State Wildcats. And I think the Jayhawks have a legitimate chance at a Big 12 title this coming season. And I think, that's in large part thanks to Lance Leipold, but I think even larger part thanks to Travis Goff and his efforts with NIL and his efforts in getting people back involved and excited for this football program. Because for a while that was the main struggle is people weren't going to games, people weren't investing in this program. And now he has that. And yeah, that's in some part thanks to Lance Leipold and his coaching duties. But frankly speaking, who hired Lance Leipold? It was Travis Goff. I firmly believe Travis Goff could find someone to maintain what Leipold has done so far. Will Kansas lose out potentially on a few transfers and on a few guys that want to follow Leipold? Should he leave? Absolutely. I think that that'll be a couple big pieces needing to be filled, and it would hurt recruiting and transfer. But I think with the players that KU has right now, I think they're invested in the program more than they are in Lance Leipold. I think they love Lance. I think they're appreciative of Lance, but I think Lance needs to show his commitment before we can say, "Oh yeah, Lance is a key part of this, the biggest key part." Because he is a key part right now, but um, I think he needs to show his commitment to bringing this program to the mountaintop, and I think that's what a lot of people want to see. Um, as far as him signing a contract, Lance, I've heard as early as the next couple of days. I know I originally reported he's going to be signing within 2 weeks. That was back on January 6th. So that time period's passed, unfortunately. So I was a little off there. I still fully believe a deal gets done with Lance Leipold. Um, it's just a matter of when and not if. Um, now, but we'll see when it gets done because even after this whole Michigan thing, I thought a deal would be getting done today, even. But we'll see. There's not really what ifs in the air. It's when is this going to happen? And it needs to happen soon. Otherwise, people are going to get frustrated and upset. So okay. So we are going to talk about college basketball next. Um, College basketball. This week was not great for the local teams. K-State lost to Houston by about 20 points, which is not a huge surprise. I mean, Houston is a great basketball team. They've always had a solid program. I know a lot of people were kind of underestimating them, myself included. When they got, excuse me, when they got to the Big 12, just saying, they can't handle this level of competition, blah, blah, blah. They can, and they do thus far. I think they just tied for first in the Big 12. I think a lot of people are really at that point in the current moment. But I think overall, it's tough to say where Kansas State is going to end up as far as the final Big 12 rankings from this point. They've had some good wins. They've had some bad losses. They're just kind of in the middle. So we'll see if that improves at all. But to be frank, it's kind of up in the air at this point because they've got a really tough stretch coming, as I mentioned in the last ScorchCast. And this was kind of just the start of it. So as far as K-State goes, not exactly how you wanted to start that stretch. But there is time to recover, and you do have the ability to cover. One of those games that you will have the ability to recover and win is the Kansas game because Kansas is not playing their best basketball either. And that showed with losses to West Virginia and losses to Iowa State. You did win against Cincinnati in between there, which was good. You should win against Cincinnati, who was projected to finish next to last in the Big 12. You should win against teams like that if you're Kansas. Um, but this loss to Iowa State, it looks bad. I think Kansas played fine. They just let too many opportunities go to waste. And that 4-point swing where Bill Self got the technical ended up being the difference in the game. Um, so Kansas seems kind of lost right now. They still don't have their identity. It's midway through the season. Yeah, Johnny Furphy has been great as a starter and has been arguably your most consistent player this year. Um, obviously Hunter Dickinson. Oh, he's averaging a double double every game. Oh, Kevin McCullough is averaging 20 points a game, et cetera, et cetera. Kevin McCullough stunk it up this past game. He couldn't hit a three to save his life. His defense was suspect. And just overall, it wasn't a great effort from this guy that's supposed to be the team leader. Um, and then the whole thing with DeJuan, I am baffled that he is still on the Bob Cousy Award watch list. He made the top 10 today, if you didn't already see. Um, I don't know how. I mean, he's regressed heavily. And just this past game against Iowa State showed that. He made boneheaded passes that led to open layups for Iowa State. His defense was kind of rough. And just overall, it wasn't a good showing. It hasn't been a good showing for who's supposed to be the guy who's the top point guard in the nation. I mean, even his defense, which is his bread and butter, has looked pitiful. And just the Jayhawks need to find their identity now before they go into February, before they hit this key stretch of games in the month of February that will determine, their regular season title hopes as well as their tournament positioning. So, and if you're a Kansas fan, I'm part of a KU Discord. If you don't know what Discord is, it's like an online messaging forums thing. But I'm in a couple of those communities, and there's a lot of negativity being thrown around. I will say that, but there's also a lot of realism. And what a lot of people are seeing is this is a Kansas basketball team that could potentially lose in the second round of the tournament, just like last year. It's rough. This is a team that doesn't have an identity. This is a team that doesn't have chemistry, and they're going to need to change that come this stretch of games. And it starts with beating Oklahoma State handily tomorrow. And then if you can do that, you go to I don't actually you might still be at home. I think it's a home stretch. Oh yeah, KU Houston. So you got Houston at home after Oklahoma State. And then it doesn't get any easier because you go to Bramlage to go play Kansas State. So it's tough to say. And then then Baylor comes to town. So and the last, with credit to ESPN, but look at that. Look at that. If you can read it, of course, my glare's kind of bad, but if you can't read it, it's for the month of February, just to let you all know how key the month of February is. You started off by playing Houston in Lawrence, which is a winnable game, mind you. They beat Oklahoma pretty handily. Oklahoma's a good basketball team. Houston's better, though. You need to handle business against Houston, and you need to get that win. You at least need to split with Houston. Then you got Kansas State at Bramlage. You lost at Bramlage last year. You need to win this year. Then Baylor comes to town. That's another winnable game, and I think that's way more winnable than Houston is. So that should be a W right there. If you can win against Houston, you can absolutely win against Baylor. I mean, Baylor looked terrible this past game against TCU. They had plenty of chances to put that game away, and they did. And given the fact that Kansas has beaten TCU, and yeah, TCU's a great team, but in this dogfight of a Big 12, they're nearing the bottom. And you need to handle business in a conference that is incredibly unforgiving. So you got a gauntlet come February. Both Kansas and Kansas State do. And given how big of a dogfight this Big 12 is, it's tough to say, where these teams will end up, because it could be they're finishing top 3 in the conference. It could be, at least for Kansas State for sure, or actually no, even for both of them, they could finish in the bottom echelon of the conference. Kansas could finish in the bottom echelon of the conference if they don't figure it out, stop playing the teams' levels, and start playing like a cohesive basketball team. I mean, they could. That's the danger here, because you came into February basically splitting games 50-50 throughout the month of January. So that's inexcusable. Yeah, you had a great non-conference. Congrats, but it's Big 12 time. It's big boy time. It's time to play. And February is going to kick your butt if you're not careful, and if you're Kansas. So that's kind of all I have to say about that. As far as Missouri goes, I don't know if I can say a whole lot on them, to be honest. I mean, what is there to say? This has been an embarrassing season for Dennis Gates and company. And I mean, what happened between this year and last year? Like, you didn't have that much better talent last year. And now you're sitting at the bottom of the SEC, still trying to get a conference win. I mean, that's embarrassing. And it may cost Dennis Gates his job. But, we'll see. Again, like, just the SEC's a gauntlet this year too. I'm not expecting Missouri to do anything different, unfortunately. But we'll move on to the Chiefs here, because the Chiefs are the big topic today. So okay. So the Chiefs, huge super. I mean, they're going back to the Super Bowl. Who would have thought? I the second NBS caught that ball to seal the game. I thought we were dreaming, to be honest, because after all the problems that the wide receiver group gave this team all year, the least reliable out of all of them gets a shot at glory and takes it. I forgive everything that I said about Marquez Valdez Scantling because he showed out these playoffs. He did. I mean, even in the Bills game, he showed out, making key catches. And then, of course, our defense, too. The Chiefs' defense has been stellar all year, but they've looked unstoppable, unpenetrable this year, or this postseason, I should say. Um, Charles Omenihu did get lost this year to injury, um, which is or this for the Super Bowl due to injury, which is very unfortunate. But I think next man up mentality. I think you got Felix and Nduke Uzama, who has been chomping at the bit for playtime. He'll go in there and hopefully make a difference. Hopefully, you know, give this team a shot. I don't think Omenu is a huge loss, but it does do a little bit of that does do a little bit of damage to the pass rush. I'm sorry, I am so tired. And but your main guys are there. You got Chris Jones, you got George Karlaftis, you got um, Mike Dana and all those guys that have been so good in the pass rush this year so far. And I think if you can pressure Brock Purdy, I think you win that game. I think you win the game against the 49ers. I trust this defense to do what it needs to do. I think the Ravens defense is better than the 49ers defense. And I think the offense has been firing on all cylinders at the right time. I think the Chiefs have a great chance at winning the Super Bowl. I don't want to say that this will be their easiest game, but the fact that you could get past Buffalo at Buffalo and Baltimore at Baltimore. Baltimore looked unstoppable this year. I thought they were a shoo-in for the Super Bowl. And the way the Chiefs played them, the way the Chiefs defense shut that offense down, gives me all the faith in the world that we can repeat as Super Bowl champions. It truly does. And just, people are going to say, oh, well, Lamar and the Ravens beat themselves. Oh, the Bills beat themselves too. They shot themselves in the foot one too many times. What caused that to happen, though? There's key intangibles that cause teams to lose games rather than, oh, well, the Chiefs didn't win, the Ravens lost, or the Chiefs didn't win, the Bills lost. I mean, let's be honest here. Do we not think that Patrick Mahomes is going if either of those teams gets a game tying score, do we honestly think that Patrick Mahomes was going to fail in the clutch after he has succeeded so many times? I can count on one hand how many times that he's failed in clutch performances. And it's really only, I can think of like maybe 2 instances throughout his entire career where he's failed to deliver in crunch time in the clutch. I mean, people have to stop saying, oh, well, Brady had the clutch gene and Patrick Mahomes just doesn't. Patrick Mahomes absolutely has the clutch gene. And the fact that people are saying that is unbelievable to me. So, I have faith that this team will win Super Bowl 58. It will piss a lot of people off. Oh man, the internet was just a firestorm after the Chiefs won. I mean, Taylor Swift, Travis Kelsey, it's rigged, it's rigged. Yeah, I mean, in the words of the famous Mitchell Wolters, you can doubt the Chiefs, you can dislike the Chiefs, you're gonna have to deal with the Chiefs. It's not our fault that the world's biggest pop star is dating one of our tight ends. You know, like that's not our fault. You really just forgot 10 years ago where this team was, didn't you? Like this is a team that before Patrick Mahomes hadn't won a Super Bowl in 50 years. And every playoff chance that they got, including one including one in the postseason in the AFC or jeez, including one of the with the Mahomes era. You forgot how many times this team has suffered playoff heartbreak and just heartbreak in general. Like, no, Mahomes, you can't deny greatness anymore, and it's silly seeing people tweeting out, "Oh, they only won it because it's rigged." No, they won it because they have a great team, and Mahomes is in the running for greatest quarterback of all time, greatest NFL player of all time. And it's absolutely ridiculous. Like seriously, it's just Patriots 2.0, except there's really no signs of internal internal struggle, unlike there was with the Patriots. Like no evidence of Patrick Mahomes being a prima donna in any way, like Brady was. And you know, Brady had to depend a lot more on his defenses, and this is uh, really the first time ever that Patrick Mahomes has kind of had to lean on his defense a little more. Brady had to do it like 7 out of 10 times in his Super Bowl runs. I'm just saying. So that's my opinion on it. Again, I'm a Chiefs fan, yeah, so I might be a little biased, but get over it. Chiefs are here. Chiefs are in the Super Bowl. And, whether it's earning the NFL money or not, I don't think they had a say in who won this game and who didn't. So, okay. So, a little bit of Royals news. The 3/8 sales tax that was proposed, originally vetoed by Frank White, who's the city commissioner, I believe is his title, and former Royals player. It got vetoed, but that veto got overridden by somebody. I can't remember who it was. Um, but someone higher than Frank White, or at least in the checks and balances system, higher than Frank White, um, undid that veto. So the 3/8 sales tax to pay for stadium renovations and stadium relocations was officially approved to be on the ballot in April. So Jackson County will have the ability to vote on whether or not they want to pay for a new stadium and renovations via this new sales tax. Uh, at least they're honest about where this new stadium for the Royals is going to be. That's a plus, right? Um, you know, just kind of talking about the whole controversy of the Royals not being transparent where this stadium was going to be and everything like that. I think that's been put to rest finally, and we're just kind of dealing with, okay, what does Jackson County have to say? Do they want this new stadium? Do they not want this new stadium? Um, and just overall, what steps need to be taken from here by the Royals um, to kind of get themselves in the best spot. I don't think a new stadium's coming in, for the next 2 to 3 years. Um, and I'm not sure how this vote is going to turn out, given just all the crap that was put on by the Royals over the past year or so of talking about this. But I think it is a step forward that they have began to move this process rather than just say, oh, we don't know what we're going to do yet, but here's some cool AI renderings. It's better than that. And then another key piece about the Royals, um, they're done with Bally Sports. They're done with Bally Sports. Go check out my TikTok for my full opinion on that. But to summarize, Bally Sports, their parent company, Diamond Corp or something like that. I think it's Diamond Corp. I can't remember off the top of my head. Diamond Sports Corp or something. Diamond Sports Group. Apologies. But they declared Chapter 11 bankruptcy back in November. And the media rights for the Royals and a ton of other franchises across a few different leagues was left up in limbo for a while. And Amazon Prime stepped in and was just like, we'll feature your games on our streaming service, which is about $60 cheaper than Bally Sports. I have no complaints with that. I think a lot of people own Amazon Prime, and those that want to watch these regular season games, because it's the NBA, the NHL, and the MLB. Those are the games that were featured on Bally Sports for, I think, 37 different sports franchises. The regular seasons of each of those sports go on forever. And there's a ton of games. So people like missing one or two isn't all that surprising. A lot of people just have that on for background noise while they eat dinner or working on something. It really doesn't get important until the playoffs that you watch those games. So having those on Amazon Prime, I think, is a very happy medium. I think is plenty affordable for those that are that dedicated to watching those regular season games. And I think it's a great idea. And major props to Amazon for actually doing something right for once and not greedy and terrible. But just kind of going back to the Royals, they're taking steps in the right direction in all facets, both on the field and off the field. Like I said in earlier ScorchCasts, as well as in my articles, the Royals are making moves in free agency. So they're building the on the field product while building the off the field product, which is, again, all we really asked for. And I'm glad they're finally doing it. So let's hope it continues. And hopefully, we can see some major progress being made with those renovations renovations / relocations, as well as the on the field product. So Okay. So going into the burning question, where do we see sports journalism in the next few years? Just referencing the current SI controversy, Sports Illustrated, and their use of AI kind of leading to the layoff of basically their entire staff and them kind of just quitting. It looks like, by all accounts, that um, Sports Illustrated is going under. And it's incredibly sad for those that, read Sports Illustrated like myself for all those years. It's kind of disheartening. I hope that it isn't the direction sports journalism is going. Um, but it's not a great sign. And I asked you all what the future of sports journalism would be. Got a few answers here that I'm going to pull up right now. Give me but a moment. Get those up. Da, 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 da. It's here somewhere. There we go. So I had a couple answers. Um, So my mom, Missy Meyer Donder, said that women's sports and sports betting are going to be two growing industries. There are two pieces people don't know much about. Um, I mean, yeah, I think as far as like just general getting the word out, I think that's where it's going to go. But it was kind of meant to be answered as, where is the industry of sports in it? Where's the industry going? Um, but I do think that they will talk more about sports betting, especially with how much it's kind of set itself um, in the big four leagues, especially of U.S. sports. And then as far as women's sports go, I mean, I think we're kind of seeing it as well. Um, that women's basketball, in my opinion, is has more parity to it this year. It just looks better this year as far as like performance goes. Um, and overall, it's just, dare I say, it's more fun to watch. I mean, it's kind of pathetic on men's basketball's part, because it's just not a good product this year, I feel like. But who knows? Maybe that's just my thoughts on it. But women's college basketball has looked a lot better. But I also received some piece, a little bit on what the industry is going to react, is how the industry is going to react with sports journalism, or excuse me, with Sports Illustrated going under. Um, so Gene Meyer goes into how it's a huge disappointment. It's a sad day for sports journalism, and hopefully, it's not very telling of where the industry will go. Much like how I said in the opening, um, I mean, it's it brings a lot of things into context that I've kind of been talking about. Corporate sports journalism has become incredibly lazy and it lacks passion. And that's not the writer's faults. It's not the contributors' faults. It's not even the people that, talk about it. Like the Stephen A. Smiths, like, um, the Bill Simmonses, like the people that, are on ESPN every day. It's not even their fault. It's the fact that money has taken such a forefront for these corporate outlets that it's a matter of what earns us the most revenue rather than what will earn us the most fans and what will earn us, the most recognition as a brand, or not even as a brand, but as is a brand with integrity, rather. Um, when the whole artificial intelligence uh, controversy came out about Sports Illustrated, um, I wrote an article about it for College Football Dogs. I kind of just went in on how it's gotten lazy. It's gotten to a point of where the the corporate bigwigs have sacrificed authenticity, passion, and the overall human experience for something that just feels so bland, rehearsed, not well put together, and it's gotten to a point where it's clear and obvious, and people are starting to not watch Sports Center anymore. They're not watching things like First Take and um, Skip and Shannon and everything like that. Shannon did not leave because he wanted to. He saw the writing on the wall and just kind of wants to write it out. I feel like earning the most money that it can, because it's become a game of who has the hottest take, who has the take that's going to generate the most clicks, rather than who has the take that's most right, who has the take that has the most analysis put behind it, the most passion put behind it, and that art has gotten lost. And unfortunately, now the human element has gotten lost. And it truly is a sad day for sports journalism. Um, but on that note, outlets like mine, outlets like College Football Dogs, outlets like The Athletic, outlets that include the fan, the player, the coach perspective in its fullest light are ones that you should trust. Your local outlets are the ones that you should trust. And outlets that aren't in it for the dollar, you know, are in it for the love of the game. Those are the ones that you should trust. Those are the ones that are going to be the most authentic, that are going to offer the best takes, that are going to be the most knowledgeable. And I appreciate that you guys are here, that you guys allow me to spew all my stuff about sports, and trust me to be, a sports news outlet. Even though this is more, old man yells at cloud rather than actual news. It's kind of old man judges the news rather than, I report on the news. That's kind of what my College Football Dog stuff is for. But every now and then editorial will come out. But that being said, I am going to add a little bit more content, stuff that doesn't really pertain to KC sports. I'd like to announce the opening of the Burn Alternate Sports, which is going to be my outlet where I cover alternative sports history. So basically, what that means is, I kind of take all the what ifs in sport and I kind of divulge into it and delve into it, as to if it actually happened. So let's say, the Atlanta Falcons didn't blow a 28-3 lead. What if the AFL and NFL never merged? Topics like that I would be covering. So if you want to know more, go check out my TikTok. I made another one about that. And just overall, I'm excited to begin this new venture. So hopefully you'll join me on it. But that's pretty much all I have for this week's ScorchCast. I apologize if it kind of seems like I'm going through the motions right now and that I'm kind of tired. Um, Number one, last night was a doozy, given the Chiefs AFC Championship win. So I'm a little tired. But number two, just it's been a really busy day thus far, and I'm kind of I haven't eaten dinner yet. I'm just kind of coming off a busy day at work, and I'm just crashing hard. So apologies if this is not my best Scorchcast I've ever put out, but thank you for listening always, and I appreciate your support. Next week's will be a lot better. I promise. We'll feel less kind of thrown together, like I'm less going through the motions. Be a little bit more passionate. But again, thank you so much for listening. This has been the Burn KC Scorchcast signing off. Have a great night.